This is the world's smallest honeybee colony. This is half of it, and here's the other half down here. And as you can see, oh, if I can find it. This is one of Jason Foley's queens. Now when they get small like this, they're very skittish. And you really can't mess with them too much or else the colony collapses completely. And then there's nothing you can do about it. And here is the second smallest colony in the world. As you can see, the queen is underneath. And this one's, most of the paint fell off, but you can see a very little bit of paint on her, yellow paint. See it there? Another one of Jason Foley's queens. That's half the colony, and the other half is right here. Now, today is the last day of January, and I basically have 2 months to go. And at the rate these bees are dying, there'll be no bees left to feed the queen, or if the queen dies, I'll lose the colony anyway. So what I'm doing is, I'm taking some of my larger colonies here, and I'm letting some of the workers just fly off and fly around in the room. And this one here, the bees were underneath the cover, so I just left the cover right there. So we'll let the bees gather on the door here. Now, as long as I mix these bees, and they're all mixed right now on the door, I'll put a little bit in this one, and then I'll put a little bit in this one. It's basically the same as drifting, you're just forcing the drifting. And as long as you don't outnumber the bees that are already in there, they'll keep that queen protected. And these bees here will adapt. I don't have any other choice because I do have queens that are laying, but they're keeping it under control with maybe just half a frame. So I can't pull anything out at this time. I've got to wait until basically March. So it's my goal is to keep these queens alive until March. And you may ask, well, if the queens are so bad, why waste the time? You know, any queen is better than no queen at all. I usually give them a second chance anyway. So what I'll do is I'll gather up the bees, I'll get them in this jar, and then I insert this entrance feeder in there. And then I cover the jar, I flip it over, get it on here like so, and then I'll cover with a dark rag, and eventually the bees will go into the hive, and then I'll remove it maybe a few hours later. Now these are Foley's queens. Here's a box from Foley, and this was my second order, 26 queens. 6 of them never made it out of the cage because he puts the workers in the box loose, not in the cage with the queen. And what happens is they cover the screen, and the inside of that box gets really hot. So that was a waste of money. And the ones that survived from my first order, they never outgrew 1 deep. I had one that did, and that was this one right here. In December I had some queens that didn't have enough workers left, so what I did is I checked my outside hives. This one here, the queen was gone. So I split that one in half, and this one here had a queen, so I split that one in half and put the new queen in a cage and waited a couple days. And that queen, when I let her out of the cage, I checked a week later and she started laying right away. That was December. So just basically the things that I do because I have this warm room. If you don't have a warm room, you can't do this out in the cold. So I spent the money and got myself a warm room. It's warmer than outdoors, but yet it's not warm enough for you to want to hang out in here too long. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, and I'm going to gather these bees up now after I close these hives, and I'm going to put them in there, and I may have to do this every week, every 2 weeks. I got some larger colonies here stacked I may get into next week or the week after, depending on how things go. Okay, thank you.